Hello, traders and friends. This is my morning video. I haven't done one for since last week. And the basic, we are hitting some significant resistance in the markets today. And some things I'm looking at right here, I'm starting with the crude on the monthly chart here. And right here, right now, we're putting in the lows for the month going into the uh, inventories, crude inventories for February. So that's something to be concerned about. Marking new lows going into the numbers today. It's putting some down pressure in the early market session. So, like I said, we're only the 6th day in the month, but marking new lows on the monthly chart is something to pay attention to because we are in this. Let's see here. That's our yearly webs. We're still trapped inside of 2018's or 2017's value for crude oil, and here we are trying to push lower here. We were set to start the month for a continuation to the upside, and now we're right back into the 2017 value area. Okay, the second area I'm looking at, and that's Germany, because most of Asia is shut down for the week-long holiday, so you can't really look at Asia. But the issue I've got, you're down about 0.5% on the German markets, and what we had yesterday, we had a gap up and run, and basically, I did the math, and if we were to open right about where we are right now in the German markets, we are actually going to be back inside of uh, last week's value area. Okay, we're going to be right back inside of that, potentially drifting down. We'll still be above this week's developing value area. My point is, all this inventory up here, as of this morning, looks to be trapped, and unless something changes, so that could also lead to some downward pressure into the markets as we go into the day. Some other things I'm looking at here. As you can see, this is my 125 SMA right here, and we came right up to that and tagged it yesterday. Closed right at it yesterday. And there's a channel here. You see this channel I got drawn? We closed right at the high tick of this channel along with that 125 SMA. And look here, it's come up here before, rejected. Come up here, rejected. This is started back in mid-October, rejected. And this is actually the first retest of this 125 SMA. And so far this morning, the indices are red across the board. So I just wanted to point that out. We do have a cross on our stochastics. The RSI is not giving us a signal yet. So just something to keep in mind on our SPY. We did have some issues happening there in the SPY. Basically, what I'm doing now, I'm leaving the market maker moves for the week prior on my charts. I've noticed they do act as historic support and resistance levels. So the blue lines are from last week. That's the value area high. This is the prior week's open. This is the blue line. But the purple line this week, that's what I'm using for the value area high. This is the expected move, market maker move for this week. And as of right now, we are rejecting this value area high along, and I did mention all that other resistance. So we had like 4 or 5 things all hitting at the same time on the SPY right here going into yesterday's overnight session. Okay, something that I'm looking at, and this is our financials. And like I have said, they should lead the markets to the upside or the downside. And basically what we've got going on here, we've got a bull flag compression pattern happening on our financials. And so far today, the markets seem to be in a sell signal. But this is something setting up for, if we're going to see a continuation in the markets, I think the financials need to break out to drive us further, in my opinion. So just keep this on watch for a breakout or breakdown. When you have patterns like this is going to lead the direction in the markets into the future. CRE is our regional banks. This has a lot to do with our Russell. And as you can see, it's come up to this resistance zone, and it's having trouble getting some legs. And we saw a little bit of sell action yesterday. The markets were up real big time, but we saw relative weakness in the financials, both the XLF and the regional banks. But my theory is that we are going to come into this prior consolidation zone on our regional banks and retest the 125 SMA. That's the next thing that I'm looking for. I'm still not overly bearish today because our bonds are the ZN 10-year treasuries. We are catching a bid here right now in our treasury. So just keep that in mind that as the treasury notes catch a bid, that our yields are coming down. So just keep that in mind that this is a risk off situation in my opinion. And as you can see on the on the daily chart for your 10-year treasuries, you can see that we are holding out very strong up here in the upper part of the range, and we are testing this uptrend line right here, right now, on our 10-year treasuries. So this is a risk-off situation, potentially getting some fear coming into the markets. So just keep this in mind that markets seem to be getting a little scared of the situation coming into this significant resistance and potentially breaking out to the upside on our bond markets today. And markets could see a massive sell-off under this situation. And that is the highest volume so far this morning. Even though the volumes are relatively light, that's why you don't want to read too much into it. The volumes are virtually anemic right here. But the crude breaking down to month lows already. I know it's early in the month. It's something to be concerned about. We have looks like we recovered a little bit here. It was looking pretty bad there a little while ago. So, and we do have the inventories coming out today, with now suggesting that the Europe and crude is potentially on a sell signal today. After our Snapchat significantly beat on the revenues, even though they beat on the earnings, catching a massive short squeeze in the after-hour sessions, almost up over 20% so far this morning. And it has potential for much higher under the situation. Look, it has just completely been a dog since its IPO. So just keep this in mind that Snap has a bid today. And then on the flip side, the big one is Electronic Arts, and it just completely disappointed on the numbers. And I had mentioned this in prior videos that the gaming industry had very bad sales for the Christmas holiday season, and Electronic Arts was one of the worst selling things that sold. And this morning we have Take-Two, which was the best seller, but the entire gaming sector actually was under pressure. So of the gaming industry, Take-Two reports in a few hours, and it will do the best of the breed in the whole sector. But after Electronic Arts, it's not likely to be very good. We're marking at 78 right now. It's blown out the expected move already on Electronic Arts. And so if you go on the daily here, you can see that at 78, that's going to put it all the way back down to the Christmas Eve lows for Electronic Arts. And I've heard some traders talking about we're probably, after seeing such horrible results, we are likely to see a 50% haircut in the Electronic Arts price from here, and quite likely could happen. Now, CMG, that's your Chipotle Mexican drill, has just been on fire this year. And if the markets are at a significant high here, they are just going to have to completely blow out their guidance head going forward, which could very well happen. It's got a double top pattern happening right here. my my issues on their guidance would be their cost side. If their costs are starting to get to them, higher wages, higher input costs, because it's such a and the possibility their pricing margins. So, but CMG does look like it's gotten way because we were down 418. We're up $100 already since last earnings, and we just had a modest uh, increase. So, uh, does seem like Chipotle Grill is getting a little over the top here. GoPro reports tonight, and this is one that I do think is going to miss on their earnings. I think tech in general was out of vogue this Christmas holiday season. They were buying clothes and other items and not really necessarily tech. And GoPro is one of the primary uh, tech items for Christmas season. So if they're not even buying the Apple phones, I mean, I just cannot see them investing heavily into the GoPro cameras. I think they are. We could very easily see this back down to the $4 range, in my opinion, or worse. Massive sell off in the overnight session coming in GoPro, in my opinion. Okay, FireEye is another one. Impressive guidance and earnings. And these stocks that have had such a great quarter last quarter, they have tended to continue this quarter. So this is one of the few stocks that I think, depending on their guidance, has a potential to continue to back to the near the 52-week highs or better. FireEye, and this is internet or internet security services. So just keep that in mind that FireEye is one of the areas that I would be thinking is still a very much hot sector to be in going into this earnings season. Now, last night, Disney did report their earnings, and if you notice, they've pretty much so back off from that earnings situation. Uh, I do think that I was not too impressed with their guidance and everything on Disney after reading through it all. So this is one of the few that I'm concerned um, the run up might be quite over with the Disney, and we might just see a modest increase in price from here. And if the markets are on a sell signal, I do not see any driving force for Disney today. And if you see, as you can see right here, we have recently broken out of this downtrend on the Dow Jones largely because of Boeing. Boeing has just been on a screaming tear. And so just keep this in mind. S&Ps are an extreme resistance. Not too impressive data out of Disney today. So this could, at least in the short term, lead to a back test of this breakout back down to the another 100 plus point, 160 point decline would back test the breakout. And that happens a lot with the Dow Jones, that you get a back test of the 125 SMA in this situation. So, as you can see, the 125 SMA has acted as a significant reference in the past. So, just keep that in mind for the Dow Jones. So basically, we got one day breaking above the 200, or we broke above our 125 SMA one day there, and we're already coming back in today for the retest, and we are above our 200-day moving average too for our diamonds. So this is a very bullish pattern, but so you don't want to wait until you get a confirming breakdown of the 200 before you would want to reinitiate reinitiate shorts, in my opinion. But basically, the theme for today is crude is going to draw down the markets, it seems like, and there's going to be a little bit of responsive profit taking today, and we probably need to digest some of this move, especially since the uh, markets are at their weekly uh, respective market maker moves on SPY. On the Qs, we broke above our weekly um, expected move. So, and we closed right on the 125 SMA. So basically, in my opinion, all those buyers that came in yesterday and bought up here on the Qs above the market maker expected move, look what's happening. All that value above the market maker move so far this morning is being rejected, and we are pressing out of value, out of yesterday's value, daily value on top of that. So showing some relative weakness here in the early hours. But like I said, the volumes are extremely light, so it's hard to put too much to it yet. And then finally, I'm going to look at the IWM. And if you look here, completely rejected today's value area. We're going back into yesterday prior day value area. We didn't even get up to the expected move yet on the IWM. So, and I think our diamonds was actually above our, yeah, it was within inside our expected move too. And we are marking below yesterday's accepted value. So 80% of yesterday's inventory was up inside of this value, and we are rejecting into the lower 10% of the inventory so far early in this morning, based on global weaknesses. Okay, that's all I got to say. I hope I explained it really well. Please follow me on YouTube. I appreciate all the comments you can give me at the bottom of the YouTube post, and like the video if you like it. And if you ever want to join us in our Slack room, just leave me a note below and with your Twitter contact, and I will see if I can add you. Thanks a lot, and good luck.